Sam Nordquist, a 17-year-old from Milwaukee, wasn't the kind of teen to suddenly vanish. Friends described them as gentle, funny, and fiercely loyal. Someone who messaged back instantly and kept tight connections with their small support circle. But in April 2024, Sam stopped responding. At first, it seemed like a misunderstanding, maybe a lost phone or a weekend away. But hour after hour, the silence grew heavier. The last known contact came from a group of people Sam considered acquaintances, not close friends, but people they thought were harmless. Investigators would later learn these individuals had lured Sam in with the promise of companionship, a place to hang out, and people who understood them. But beneath the surface, something far darker was brewing. For days, Sam's loved ones begged for updates. Social media posts spread, neighborhood searches began, and community advocates raised concern that yet another vulnerable teen had disappeared. But behind the scenes, law enforcement was beginning to piece together that Sam's disappearance might not be a runaway situation. It might be something far more sinister. Digital footprints were the first clue. Messages, timestamps, and location pings all pointed to the same group of individuals, people with disturbing histories and unstable tendencies. And as detectives followed each thread, they found themselves confronting a chilling pattern of manipulation, violence, and escalating cruelty. No one yet knew the true horror Sam faced. But the deeper investigators dug, the more one thing became clear. This wasn't an accident, and Sam wasn't missing by choice. A crime had begun, a crime that would soon shock the entire country. When detectives finally uncovered the house where Sam was last seen, they realized they were stepping into a nightmare. The property had already been reported multiple times for disturbances. Shouting, late-night visitors, and strange activity that neighbors shrugged off as young people being wild. But investigators immediately sensed the danger. The house belonged to a group of people already on law enforcement's radar for violent behavior. Inside, the walls told a story no one wanted to hear. Investigators found broken furniture, signs of chaos, discarded restraints, and messages scrawled on notebooks and phone records that suggested the group had become fixated on violence. Witnesses later said the suspects viewed Sam as someone easy to control, someone they could isolate, intimidate, and dominate. Prosecutors would later describe the group as a self-reinforcing circle of cruelty. Digital evidence became the turning point. Cell phone videos, messages, and audio files revealed not only the timeline but the motives: power, control, and a desire to dehumanize. The suspects seemed to feed off one another, escalating beyond simple aggression into a pattern of torture that prosecutors would describe as deliberate and prolonged. As investigators built the case, the truth emerged piece by horrifying piece. Sam had been held against their will. They had endured hours, possibly days, of systematic abuse. And through it all, none of the suspects attempted to help or intervene. Instead, they participated, recorded, encouraged, or enabled. This was no impulsive act. It was first-degree murder fueled by group violence, hate, and the thrill of domination. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell. The breakthrough didn't come from forensic evidence. It came from panic. One of the suspects, overwhelmed, cornered, and fearful of being blamed as the mastermind, walked into a police station and confessed, not out of remorse, but self-preservation. Detectives listened in disbelief as the suspect described the group's dynamics. The manipulation, the brutality, the escalating acts of violence carried out to prove loyalty. It was a twisted hierarchy where cruelty earned status. And Sam had become the target of their collective rage. The confession led detectives straight to the hidden location where Sam's body had been discarded. It was a remote area chosen specifically to delay discovery. But even that wasn't the end of what investigators uncovered. In that same confession, the suspect revealed the group's hateful motivations, including antagonism towards Sam's gender identity. Prosecutors later confirmed that bias-based hostility played a role in the violence. The truth was now undeniable. Sam's death was not only intentional, it was fueled by a dangerous blend of hate, group psychology, and a desire to cause suffering. With this confession, police moved quickly, arresting all involved. Multiple suspects were charged with first-degree intentional homicide, conspiracy, and abuse of a corpse. Some faced additional charges for recording the abuse. The case shocked the nation, but nothing prepared the community for what came next. Courtrooms are built for the truth, but some truths are almost too heavy to hear. As prosecutors laid out their evidence, the courtroom fell silent. Jurors saw the messages, heard the recordings, and watched the videos documenting the abuse. Each piece painted the same picture. Sam had been terrorized. The suspects had acted with intent, and the murder was planned, coordinated, and celebrated among them. Defense attorneys tried to shift blame, arguing their clients were influenced, intoxicated, or manipulated by others. But none of those arguments could overcome the mountain of evidence. Coordinated messages, videos showing deliberate harm, attempts to conceal the crime, a shared mindset driven by hatred and control. Prosecutors emphasized Sam's humanity, who they were before the violence. A teen who loved art, music, and had dreams for the future. A teen who trusted the wrong people. A teen whose life was taken with shocking cruelty. The public outcry grew. National organizations condemned the killing. Advocates demanded stronger protections for at-risk youth. News outlets reported each development, and social media kept Sam's name alive, refusing to let the story fade. When the verdicts came down, they were unanimous. Guilty. First-degree intentional homicide. Maximum penalties. Justice, at least legally, had been served. But the emotional toll on the community was far from over. For Sam's family and friends, grief became a daily reality. But so did purpose. They began working with community organizers, speaking publicly about the dangers of group violence, manipulation, and hate-based targeting. Sam became a symbol, not of tragedy alone, but of the urgent need to protect vulnerable youth and confront violent extremism at the community level. Their story continues to inspire reforms, especially around violence prevention, youth protection, support systems for marginalized teens, early reporting of dangerous group behavior. Sam's name now stands as a call to action. Their life is remembered not for how it ended, but for who they were: thoughtful, creative, and loved. And as their story circulates across the nation, it pushes communities to look out for one another, to intervene, to report warning signs, and to refuse to let hate take root. Sam deserved a future, and by telling their story, we ensure their voice is never silenced again.